for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. You like that? You like that?
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello.
Battling. We'll just keep battling and keep battling.
We'll head to Buffalo, stay on the road. I think the weather, of course, having spent a lot of time in Minnesota, I understand the weather pattern. Pick up the Calcutta Clipper, swings down, swings up, lakefront influence, and out. I think we'll probably have about 45-degree weather, so it will not be a typical October 31st in Buffalo.
You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, and you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs. All the defensive backs covering are just atrocious today for the Minnesota Vikings.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? What are you talking about? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
What a snag!
Multi-action offensive sets.
Cam Dantzler, what are you doing? I've seen enough out of Cousins, Paul. Put him on ice.
A dog with a note in his mouth should be able to sell those ratings.
Right.
Super Bowl, homeboy.
I'm unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited.
Let's play. He has no chance.
Here we go.
I'm a fraud.
Yes. At least he admits it.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the North. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
And the run begins in 5, actually 3. Sounds like blah, blah, blah. Cold, dead, rigor mortis laden. Should be an action-packed, controversial, fast-paced, action-packed, fast-paced, controversial show today. So many topics to get to. The Vikings, they're all in, chips in the middle of the table, as they make a blockbuster trade for left tackle Cam Robinson. The Wolves fall to their nemesis, the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie, Doncic, et al. Minnesota Golden Gopher football team continues to gain momentum. They have a critical game this week again. Who do they play? I don't know. Illinois. The number 25, they're top 25 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. More controversy with fan interference, but the Yankees hang on and force a Game 5 with all of those topics. Oh, and by the way, they stole that excrement from us. We're still whining and bitter about the WNBA thievery between the Liberty and the, what's the nickname? Lynx. All of that and so much more. I don't know where to stop. Let's spin the wheel of topic.
Wheel of Topic!
I want to talk about that excrement they stole from us.
Commons Golf Game.
Games played outdoors.
What did you shoot today?
77 Sunset Strip. 77 Sunset Strip.
Where'd we play?
I played at Loggers Trail.
Where'd you hit it on one?
Right up the gut.
How far from the green were you?
I had a 7-iron in my hand.
Second shot?
Hit a blind shot because I was over. All right, I wasn't right up the middle. I was a little short and a little right. It was in the fairway. But I couldn't see the flag. You know how you're blocked out by the mound over there? I looked to see where it was, and I hit it just left of the pin high about 20 feet away.
Then what?
I 2-putted for par.
Incredible.
The putter was rock solid again. I made a 45-footer for birdie on 2 from the fringe. I made a 30-footer for birdie on 9. I made a 27-footer for par on 15. It'll be the best par you'll see on that hole all day. Of course, there's only about 8 people playing today, but still. And then made a 15-footer on 18 for birdie to shoot. 77, by the way, is 4 over because 17 is playing. It plays either as a par 3 or a par 4. They change it from week to week, playing as a par 4 today. The club was my brush. The ball was my paint. The course was my canvas. Though I will tell you this, tended to be one of the employees was playing behind me. He plays fast. He started later, but he catches me as I'm walking off 17 green, and he's just approaching 17 green. He watches. He's behind me. He's hit his drive on 18. He sees me nail my 15-foot birdie putt. He claps, and I raise my hand, and do the old wave. I go to my cart, and right when I get to my cart and start to get, all of a sudden his approach shot lands to about 8 feet. He pulls up, so I reciprocate. Yeah. I applaud for him. I go, great shot. You have to one-up me, didn't you? And he goes, I haven't made the putt yet. I said, what are you going to shoot today? He goes, it's going to be my best round of the year if I make this. I go, what's that? He goes, I'll tell you when I'm done. He just missed it. I go, what'd you shoot today? He goes, 66. Whoa. Andy in the shop told me, and he only plays a handful of times a year. And he plays the tips. He shot 66.
You've got to be kidding me.
And I thought my 77, I'm just, I'm puffing my chest out with pride. I'm thinking that's a pretty good score for if I would have shot 66, I would have shot my age, right? He shoots 66. Yeah, he goes, I've been hitting the ball pretty close lately.
It sounds like his round today was like a PGA Tour professional type of round.
His really was. You had an experience that's not unlike a Tour Pro when you shot your 74. So it took a little of the wind out of my system, but you can't compare yourself to other people, especially people that have that much talent. He's really good. I'm not. It's okay. I had fun. It's about over, too. We're supposed to get rain and slop and a little snow tonight and tomorrow, right? Just in time for Halloween. Question for you, Ted, to be. Apparently, it's sort of an unwritten rule that if you have a child, if your son or daughter goes to a university, you're supposed to go attend at least one football game. That never even crossed my mind. I have zero interest going to Lincoln or going to Columbus to watch a football game.
I'm with you.
I don't even want to. Eastridge has high school football field as the crow flies is about a half a mile, and I've only been there for one homecoming game, and I kind of felt forced to because Potato wanted to go and this and the kid. All right, I'll go. Anyway, my boys don't even play football, but I felt like I went. So, okay, but here's the deal. What do you do? There's two games left. This Saturday, 2:30 game against UCLA, but it's supposed to rain all day.
Which team is that?
Nebraska, Cornhuskers. 6.5-hour drive to Lincoln. 2:30 game, 60 degrees, but rain all day. We don't go to the rain all day game. And again, I haven't even looked into tickets yet. I mean, it's like, and I think if you go to, now they've sold out. They have the longest sellout streak of any Division I college football team in the country. Over 400 games. 100 games. Over 400 consecutive games sold out. But I'm sure you can find them on, at Ticketmaster, StubHub, Cheap Seats, whatever they call them, right? Or I go to the Wisconsin game, which is November 23rd, with time to be determined. That's going to be a night game, right? They're going to flex that to a night game. Wisconsin, Nebraska. Who knows what the weather will be like? Now, they're further south in Minneapolis. They don't get quite as bitterly cold, but I mean, 60 in light rain, or do you take your chance in a day game? So game's over, I'm back in Minneapolis. We get up early the next morning and leave, or do you go to the Wisconsin game? And if it's your choice, my wife's good for either. I think she'd prefer not to be in the rain. I would tell her to suck it up. We'll get rain gear and go.
The Wisconsin game, they're at Ohio State, or are you just talking next week?
No. This week,
yeah.
This is all Nebraska.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with Ohio State.
Got it.
I still got 2 more years. Pete's only a sophomore. Deuce is a senior. It's either now or never. There's this Saturday, 2:30 in the pouring rain, or not pouring, but light rain all day, and they're pretty convinced of it. Or I wait till the 23rd to go to the Wisconsin game and just take my chances on the weather, whether I can get tickets for that, because the Wisconsin people probably go there in droves. Sure. And then if it's a night game and if it's snowing or it's cold, which would you do? I'd much rather go this Saturday and get it over with.
Well, if I already know there's going to be rain in the forecast, I'd take my chances at next week. I don't want to be sitting out there in the rain.
It's not next week. It's November 23rd. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be late.
Oh, got it.
You're really not listening, are you? November 23rd. You're just waiting for your turn to talk, I guess. So November 23rd, which is going to be just before Thanksgiving. So who knows?
That could be a lot colder.
It could be dicey at that point. So what do you do? Do you do the rain?
I'd get my golf rain gear out.
See, I would too.
Tickets will be cheaper.
That's exactly right.
Weather will be warmer.
That's exactly right. And then
the team they're playing against is worse. Better chance of winning.
Yeah, that's exactly. And then the game's over at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Have dinner, and then boom, get up early in the morning, get back and watch the Vikings because they got the night game. So it all works out perfect that way.
Why do you have to go to a game?
Because just parents are. I get everybody tells me.
Can't you just go down and visit them and do something else?
No, everybody says you got a game there. I can't tell how many people have come up to me and said, "Oh, he goes to Nebraska. Have you gone to a football game there yet? Have you gone to a football game there yet? Have you gone to a football game there yet? I don't want to go to a football game there yet. I don't want to go there at all. I don't even want to go to Lincoln except to pick him up. Now I don't have to because he's got a vehicle. There's no reason for me even to go to Lincoln anymore. But I'm supposed to want to go.
I'd say, son, we'll see you at Thanksgiving when you come home.
Starting to come down with a little something. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's where to go. But we'll see. I made it. I'm going to Lincoln. What was I thinking going to Lincoln? Let's do this. Let's break. Tenneby's got a keyword. It is a major blockbuster. Teneby, would you agree? This signals the Vikings are all in on the season, right?
Sure.
Yeah, because Darrisaw's probably coming back next year, fully healthy if he recovers. So you're all in. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Doncic. Closer to Mark Rosen. I know Mark says he likes to say it both ways. Remember when he said that? Well, just sometimes I like to say Doncic, and sometimes I like to say Doncic. No, you just didn't know how to say it. But we'll talk about Doncic and Kyrie and many other topics. But right now, Tenneby, you have a keyword, I believe.
Yeah, the fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That keyword is money. Enter now at KFAN.com. Inflation Vacation is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head over to KFAN.com. Inflation Vacation powered by 2 men and a junk truck.
Double 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tenneby. Rock Talk 130. Brian Oak will join us in studio. The legendary Mark Rosen. At 12 noon, there are a number of ways to contact us. 1-800-320-5326. That's 1-800-320-5326. Operator standing by. Also, booth at KFAN.com. That's our email address. We have the KFAN talkback that we never use anymore. Tenneby, from now on, this is what I'd like to do when Kara is in. I don't know how often she is. I don't keep track of her schedule. But when she is in, we should really promote the talkbacks and have her. Would she be able to do that? She could sift through them and find them because I really do like the talkback function. 30 seconds or less. If you have the iHeartRadio app, you dial up KFAN, you find it. There's a microphone icon in the corner of the screen. Tap it. You have 30 seconds or less to deliver us an audio message. And then there, of course, is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. This one says, can Common explain how his Sugar Ray selfie is any different than Rosie's selfie that he relentlessly rips him for? And I responded with this. Nothing really other than Rosen selfies are him at 5-star restaurants with a big smile on his face. Common, his selfie is with the guy Ring Magazine calls the best living boxer, and BoxRec says he's the 14th greatest fighter of all time. There's a little difference there. Plus, I only do selfies a couple of times a year. But no, he's right. You got me. I mean, everybody knows what's my job. We had a T-shirt at the state fair. Get Rosie going.
Get Rosie going.
The one Rosie got the most annoyed with us, and this is all Larry Mondello guy. So Rosie was always taking these pictures of him at all these, he's at Wimbledon and he's at remember when he did the one at the golf course and he took a picture of the hole, but his whole face was covering up the golf hole so you couldn't even see it?
Yeah.
Right? So then Larry Mondello got one of his Photoshop guys to put Rosen sitting on the Great Wall of China. He was in front of the Eiffel Tower. He was holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa. He was sitting with Jack and Diane. No. Who are the royal couple that aren't really the royal couple anymore? They don't associate with the royal couple. Princess,
I know, I can't remember their names.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
But anyway, and he was literally annoyed by that. Then Maury Amsterdam guy's buddy who does T-shirts made me a headband with all those pictures on it. I wore that, and I can't help myself. I'm a Richard. So there you go. What was I about to say?
Some controversial.
Everybody's telling me to go on Saturday. Go this Saturday. Go to Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's 60 degrees. It's a light rain. If there's any rain at all, chances are better. There's not as much traffic. And as you mentioned, I think tickets will probably be easier to come by. It's UCLA. Nobody from California. Do you think anybody from Los Angeles is going to come up to Lincoln, Nebraska to watch a football game? Zero chance.
Especially with that team.
Yes, zero chance of that happening. A brand new a sponsor, Affordable Electric. You know what we say, Tennessee? Shockingly affordable. They sponsor Peek at the Purple. Peek at the Purple is a segment that we've been trying to sell for, I think, since we first got the Vikings broadcast rights all those years ago. What is our Peek at the Purple today? Should we do? I mean, I think it goes without saying. I teased it in the open. The Vikings have shown, this is, by the way, Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Peek at the Purple, the Vikings, I think they've pushed all their chips into the center of the table, to use a poker analogy. Darisaw out for the year, knee injury, left tackle, and last I checked, it's one of the most important. Your three most important positions probably are quarterback, edge rusher, and left tackle. Those, if you have those three positions locked down, and you can just mix and match a few other pretty good players, and it's a solid roster, maybe a decent running back, some good wide receivers, you got a chance to contend, at least, for a playoff spot, not necessarily a big game. The Vikings were without that left tackle, so they get Cam Robinson from, was it? Jacksonville. Was he? Did I see this right? I just glanced. I shouldn't admit this working at the All Sports station, but I basically just skimmed the story. He was a second-round pick a number of years ago. He's a quality player, right? He's
out of Alabama.
Okay.
Sounds like he's had some injury issues.
He's had injury issues. Matter of fact, I think it was last year. He just only played a handful of games. But he is a proven left tackle. I don't know where Pro Football Focus grades him out or where they rank him among the left tackles in the league. There were some that would say, well, if Jacksonville's parting ways with him, he can't be very good. Well, Jacksonville's also in a place where they need draft picks. There's even by the way, that is a lesson for you that when they drafted the Trevor Lawrence guy, everybody thought he was a surefire top 5 franchise quarterback. Still could end up being that, but would you say he's
more in the middle of the pack?
Yeah, he's been underwhelming.
Your
right?
16th, 17th, 18th range.
Yeah, he's just not reached those lofty goals, and that is the danger when you decide this is the franchise quarterback, this is the guy we've identified, and he doesn't pan out. Now, it's not over for Trevor Lawrence yet. This is year what, though? Just 4 for him?
I feel like that might be right.
I think it's about 4. But I don't mind the move from the Vikings. I mean, look, and you know how the Wilfs are, Tenneby. We talked about this. When Kwesi and KOC were hired, the phrase competitive rebuild was tossed out to all of us. And my assumption, I've always gone by this assumption, that when the Wilfs were interviewing people, they said, we're not interested in a rebuild here. You know, I know we have to make some moves, but they want to contend. They've been to a couple of NFC championship games. They haven't gotten there yet. So my guess is they weren't interested in, what do we like to say, tearing it down to the studs and starting over. And I think both you and I think I remember, you and I both kind of thought, I think we should tear it down to the studs. Then they went 13-4, got beat by the Giants. Then last year didn't work out very well at all. And Cousins was hurt and this and that and the other thing. And then I think most of us going into this year didn't expect much. And lo and behold, we went 5 in a row. We've lost 2 now. Darisaw out. I think the North is, even though the Lions have looked really, really good at 6-1 and the Packers are pretty good, I still think the North is I think the NFC is wide open. If I'm the Vikings, I go ahead and do it. I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what you're getting with Cam Robinson, right? It's not like other positions where you have like clear-cut stats to show you what they've produced in the past. So I'm not going to act like I'm watching the all 22 of the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line. So, you know, the one person that you had someone email or something that said that, you know, he might, if Jacksonville is willing to give him up, he can't be that great.
Right.
You ain't getting a Darisaw replacement at this point, right? No. Like a Christian Darisaw level player is not available, nor would you want to give up everything you'd have to anyway for that.
Correct.
So you're not going to get that level of production, but you're also hoping it's better than Quisenberry or whoever else you would have thrown at left tackle. It's probably an upgrade over that. It's somewhere in between. And I am getting a little concerned about the amount of draft picks Kwesi keeps giving away. Now, he hasn't hit on his draft picks when he does draft them, but man, they better do something this year. Or I get they're going to have a cheap quarterback over the next 4 years, hopefully that'll produce, and you have some cap space available in free agency. But the draft picks we've had under Kwesi, because that Addison doesn't look as good. That was kind of supposed to be one of his hits. That one doesn't look as good anymore. Dallas Turner very early on, but that doesn't look as good anymore. We already know about the scene in the booth.
Yep.
And they're just not going to be, they're not going to have a lot of young talent coming in here. They're already an old team right now, too. So I'm concerned by the amount of draft picks we keep giving away. But that being said, you've got a chance to make a run at it. It's a pretty cheap addition. You're not giving up a ton of draft capital to get them. Why not?
I think I did see, and I read this recently, I think in both Fish Wraps and The Athletic, where they basically have said, like, do we have like the 4th oldest team in the NFL? I didn't realize that. I mean, again, it's not like I'm scouring, player personnel and looking at birth dates. That's not really what I do, and I didn't realize we're.
Well, you want to know why they're old?
Why would that be?
Because we're not hitting on draft picks. We don't have young draft picks that are taking spots. We have to go out in free agency. And Gilmore and Shaq Griffin are like they're 22 years old. But we have to go out in free agency and spend money on guys that are grizzled veterans that have been in the league for a while because we're not hitting on draft picks.
Someone says the NFC isn't wide open. The Lions are going to the big game. The Roar has been completely restored. Chad Abbott asked me the other day, do you want me to apply for Super Bowl credentials for you? And I've done that.
I always love that.
And I asked me if you could get one for Deuce, too.
Will there be room in the press box?
That's what I don't know. We'll find out. We'll take a break. We'll come back.
After you get that free credential, are you going to complain about how much the parking was there?
No, I won't. Hold on. Let me give you another rim shot. Let's do this. By the way, that was Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable. Let's take a break.
Affordable Electric.
Yes, Affordable Electric. We'll take a short break, come back with more Common Man program here in the Fan.
Join Join Corey Cove for Coors Light Hockey Night on Tuesday, November 5th at Kazi's in Stillwater. Watch Minnesota take on LA and play trivia for your chance to win a pair of sweet tickets to the game on January 9th against Colorado. Get all the details now at KFAN.com keyword calendar.
Do you think they'll ever do hockey trivia at the Tipsy Steer?
Maybe.
Tipsy Steer. Tenneby, I know you're kind of a try-hard and a sweaty.
Yeah.
How would this sit with you? Eastridge girls soccer team, they lost yesterday in the state semifinals to Hated Edina at U.S. Bank. As a result, they played Egan earlier today in the third place game. They played to a 2-2 tie and said, well, that's it.
What?
Third place game.
What?
It's 2-2 instead of like a shootout or...
Yeah, can't they do penalty kicks?
No, apparently not. They just decided, no, it's a tie. You each going to get it. I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Well, that must be a state high school league rule. It's not like the teams are...
Well, of course, but that's what I'm asking you. Why would the Minnesota... Of course, it's the Minnesota... They didn't ask the two teams. You don't want to just split the trophy. Why would the Minnesota State High School League... I mean, it can't be time restrictions.
I'm guessing time restriction is why they would have that rule in place.
Well, but how long would it take to do a penalty kick? 5 minutes? Okay,
I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, then it can't, but then that can't be an excuse because 5 minutes it's not like they're running the red carpet at the Oscars or the Grammys or anything. It's not like a countdown of a shuttle liftoff. It's high school soccer and they're playing there all day. It's an outrage is what it is.
My guess is, do they call it overtime in soccer? Or do they call it extra time? I don't know what they call it.
I don't know what they call it.
Let's say they call it overtime.
Yeah.
My guess is the championship game would have an overtime.
Well, I would hope.
But third place game, they don't want an overtime because it would take too long and infringe on the championship. But then they don't want to do a penalty kick situation because, well, then you're having a different overtime decision to deciding the game than the championship. That's just my guess.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
But I'm with you. Do some penalty kicks. It takes 10 minutes.
You know what I think it is? It's like the participation trophies. They just want both teams to feel good. You both get third place. And maybe they don't want to, if a goalie gives up a soft goal in the shootout, they don't want him to be embarrassed and think they cost him the third. That would be my guess. It's all about feelings.
Let them play.
Nowadays. That's what I would say. Let them play the game. Wolves played last night, Tenneby, against the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas, they were the runner-ups in the NBA finals last year. They bested our Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. And, I mean, they took us out behind the woodshed, as the kids used to say. It was 4-1. And I think in that fifth, you know what they call that? I never knew this, Tenneby. A gumshoe guy told me this, and then I've read it in several other places. Maybe you knew this. If you beat a team 4-1, it's called a gentleman's sweep.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No. Google
gentleman's sweep. I never knew what that meant. And I don't even know why they call that other than let's let them win one game so we don't embarrass them. I don't know, but it's called a gentleman's sweep. And so we were the victims of it. Once you find it, go ahead and chime in.
When a team wins a playoff series but loses one game in the series, a team is said to have let the other team win one game before sweeping them.
Yeah, a gentleman's sweep. Because Dallas felt bad for us. We don't want to get them broomed out, so let's go ahead. Or maybe they couldn't afford brooms. So they decided they would, that'd be the Twins theory. The Pollards wouldn't want to spend money for the brooms, so they would go, let's just go ahead and let them win one. Do you know why I think the Twins collapsed? The Pollards didn't want to pay for champagne for a celebration. They did it to us again, Tenneby. After and wasn't that fifth and deciding game rather emphatic? I think they beat us pretty handily in that game. I think it was like a 13-14 point victory, and it left a lot of us scratching our heads. I mean, I really once we got by Denver, I thought, and we can build this thing together. I thought nothing was going to stop us now. I really didn't. Maybe the Celts, but Dallas with 45-year-old Kyrie Irving. Who did he play? Didn't he play some old man in a movie? Didn't Kyrie have...
He did like a viral video series where he dressed as an old man and would just dominate street basketball.
Right. And I thought he was going to play like an old... How about last night? Did he go off for 35 last night?
Yeah.
And Doncic went off for 24 Did he have like an owie of some sort? I thought I saw that he's got some kind of malady of some sort, but
he had the Dagger 3.
Yeah, he had the Dagger 3.
Game, which was very similar to the one he had in the playoff series.
Correct. He loves talking trash. I don't know if you've noticed that. He never stops.
Well, he can back it up.
He can. He can talk. He can back it up. There is no question about it. And God, there was a quote. Let me see if I saved it. If I was able to. If I have to go actually to the new. No, hold on. I think let me see if I got it. My prep is so extensive. I think I put it in my. No, I didn't. I gotta have it. They were making fun of Gobert again. Everybody makes fun of Gobert. He takes more chiding and cheap shots, abuse from NBA luminaries or people that play in the game or used to play. I mean, we already know what Shaq thinks of him. You know, Shaq, very bitter about. I think he's envious and jealous he didn't make that kind of. I mean, Shaq's not hurt. He ain't living check to check. But I think that he sees how much Gobert is making. They're certainly making more than back in the day he did. But let me see if I can see the quotes here. 120-114 lost. Oh, here's what I want to know. Can you help me with this, Tenby? Leave it to Ant to once again. He came up with a phrase that I'd never heard before. What was the one we beat into the ground last year? He said something I'd never... What the hell was it? And Max told me what it was. And
what Ant did?
Yeah, Ant said...
Like bring that A word?
Yeah.
When he was talking about Barkley?
No. It was some other... It was just a word he used that I'd never heard of before. Like this one, it says... Here's what Anthony Edwards said. They made some tough shots and we just got out-rebounded like a mug. What is that? What is getting out-rebounded like a mug? He's had another phrase like that where he had a word that I never heard before, and then I found out what it was. Does anybody have any idea what that means?
Well, mug is a great root beer.
Right.
Is he talking about root beer?
I don't know. He just said they made some tough shots, and we just got out-rebounded like a mug. They scored a lot in transition. Just transition, defense, and rebounding, and we'll be okay. That's it. That's all we need to do is just... play better in transition defense and rebound a little bit better and we'll be okay. He says, I feel like we can beat anybody if we get back in transition and we rebound. And if I rebound, we'll be good. Well, then why don't they do that? I don't know why they don't do that. We hear that all the time from especially from NBA teams. And this team, we covered them extensively last year because they were very, very good. The better the team is, the more attention we pay them. This airtime is valuable stuff. We're not going to just start talking aimlessly about teams that don't deserve to really be talked about. We got too many other things to talk about. And they were worth talking about last year. They were a very good team and got to the Western Conference Finals. But every day it's like, well, if we do this or don't do, well, then why don't you just do that instead of talking about doing it? If you know what to do, if you know not to come out flat, then why do you come out flat? Why don't you do those things? Do the things you're supposed to do. Now, here's another one for you, Tim. Somebody sent me this. You might have to hit the... This is my...
What is going on in there? You have a new prep packet?
Oh, I've had this forever. This is my prep packet. I keep all sorts of things in here. Here it is. This email came into me. It says it's from Bill, a 200% Finlander guy, Bill. He's been listening for years. We text and talk more than most people know. He sent this at a 7-Eleven last night. Comment, just now on TNT, when Mavericks player Daniel Gafford was asked how to defend Anthony Edwards, he said, keep the ball out of his hands.
Brilliant. Deny him the ball.
What a concept.
Yeah.
Do I need to recant it again? When Chad Morrell mocked and ridiculed me when I said, I know how to slow down Jordan. How's that? Deny him the ball. They laughed. 2 weeks later, Sam Mitchell came on and they said, how did you shut down Dirk Nowitzki? Denied him the ball. And that's what Daniel Gafford said last night.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's easier said than done.
Sure.
But if you...
Takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. If you don't have the basketball in your hand, you can't score. And that's what Gafford, they were talking about how, I have to find these because they were, I tried to save it and I couldn't do it. They were talking about how, oh, wait now. I'm really sorry, Timothy. I thought I was prepared, but I'm obviously woefully prepared. It was the transition stuff we're talking about. We couldn't keep up. Rudy couldn't keep up, and they couldn't keep up, and they beat us 120 to 114. Doesn't mean like, Mug is street slang for some naughty words, I'm told.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe that's
what naughty words, without saying them?
One word starts with an M and the other starts with an F.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's street slang I'm not up on. I mean, for me, it was cool, far out, groovy. I've got to lit. I finally learned what lit was, but that's about as far as I got. Oh, and he's just a rando. What do you mean? Well, just a random person. That's about as far as I've gotten the street slang. But.
So, like, if the word in program password on Friday was mug, I would not have thought MFer. I would have thought mug shot, like mug, like your head is a mug. Root beer, I would not have thought MFer.
Correct. Irving was sensational all night, and Doncic hit a 30-footer for his first three. That was the game clincher in the final minute. To add a touch of combativeness to the Dallas return to Minneapolis, Derek Lively II, elastic backup center, he's described as elastic, had gotten some publicity for taking a shot at Rudy Gobert during the offseason on a podcast. This was a reference to Gobert's effort against Dallas' center tandem of powerful Daniel Gafford and Lively during the West Finals. He was talking to Theo Pinson, a former NBA player of little note. This is from a Pat Royce story today. He wrote about the game. As a host of the podcast, the topic was overpaid players. Pinson said, played the Timberwolves, there's zero reason Rudy Gobert should have been on that court. Lively, zero. Pinson, but you're paying him $40 million, $50 million? You better get out there and figure it out. And he didn't. And then there were some profanities included in Pinson's rhetoric. The Mavs had this strategy to complicate things for Gobert. Run the floor with the center. Gafford, the starter, did that for 3 buckets in the first quarter. The Mavs were desperate for size. Remember, they traded. Remember last year they made those late seasons trades for Gafford and Lively. They wanted to get bigger, and that's what they did. And that was really the reason they got to the NBA Finals, was because they knew they needed some size. Asked about the early easy buckets, Gafford said, same as always, as soon as we have hands on a rebound, take off. And when you have the passer we have, you're going to get the ball. Talk about Doncic because he's good. Get the ball and you fast break, you go, you run, you know? And that had a lot to do with how they won last night. And again, it is only one game, but it is a team that we're going to have to find. If you think the Wolves are legitimate title contenders, and I don't see why you wouldn't think that, right? After, you know, I mean, again, I don't know. So we've only got 4 games with the new guys on the team. The two, you know, you Cat's out and Julius Randle, or they just call him Jew, J-U. That's what they call him. That's what they said in the story today. So Jew, and then DiVincenzo. Will those guys be able to carry at least as much as the load as Cat did remains to be seen. But so, you know, early returns seem to be pretty good after that first game where neither player really contributed much at all in the loss to the Lakers. Since then, I think they've both been pretty good. So maybe but you're going to have to get by Dallas, I would think. I mean, the West is loaded. That's no secret, right? You have Dallas, Denver, Oklahoma State, right? They're good. OKC, yeah. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma City. Do we think, is Durangelo still with Phoenix? Do we think Phoenix is any good, or are they past?
They should be in the mix.
Yeah.
Lakers are off to a good start.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Do you think Golden State has any chance, or are they donezo?
I think they're donezo.
Okay. So, but Dallas is the one. They were our nemesis last year. I mean, I didn't see a 4-1 beatdown coming at the hands of Dallas. I thought once after
they beat Denver, it was hard not to think they might be the best team in the NBA.
That's what I was thinking. I think a lot of us were. Maybe the Wolves themselves were thinking that. And it, you got nominated for Preposterous Statement.
Yeah.
Is that your new prep pack?
Well, it's more so you have like a covering for it. I didn't recognize that previously. Like it's actually all of your papers seem to be organized.
Yes,
I'm not used to seeing organization out of you.
Yeah, they are organized.
Usually your papers are just laying on the floor.
Well, that's when I discard them when I'm done with them. I toss them behind me. We don't have a garbage can in here. So I just toss them so I don't. And then when I'm done with the show, I clean them all up. I'm a very orderly person. You should see our house. I'm the declutterer.
Squeaky clean.
Well, I pick up everything all the time. I fold up the blankets that you use on the couch when you're watching TV before we go to bed. Even though those same blankets are going to be used again tomorrow, I fold them up. I clear the table of the dishes. I do everything. Yeah, I'm that kind of a guy. So we'll see. But so again, it's only one loss, but we still have the same issues that we've had in the past. But you know what? Once we take care of transition defense, and once we start rebounding, we're going to be okay. We can beat anybody. I would just, my message to Ant, who's living rent-free where, Tenneby?
In your head.
In my head, my message to Ant and all the rest would be, well, just start doing that then. Don't just talk about it. Wouldn't you see that right away as the game's going on and they're breaking and go, we better get back on transition defense real fast. You just go, oh, they did it again. I forgot they did that the last possession. That's right. So let's do that next time. Then they do it. We forgot. I don't. Do you have an explanation for it? I just find it's odd. It leaves me scratching my head, but
it's still early.
Yeah, it is.
There's some chemistry things you got to figure out. They're playing different play styles. I'm not ready to hit the old panic button.
I'm not panicking, and you can say there's new people mixed in and new styles, but transition defense is transition defense. When the other team gets the ball, get back. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's Big Meow. It doesn't matter if it's Divas. It doesn't matter if it's DiVincenzo. It doesn't matter if it's Julius. It's just get back on defense.
Get back to where you once belonged.
That's what I would say. And then there's this one that says, look at the turnovers. That's the largest fixable issue that they had last night, but will they? This was also a major concern last year. Yeah, taking care of the ball teams can get very sloppy with that. The Wolves aren't the only team guilty of that, where you just get careless with the basketball. Throw it away. Throw a bad pass, that's anticipated. You throw it right in one of the into a passing lane, and the guy jumps it. He jumps the route. The next thing you know, he's got the ball. So those kinds of things can have trouble. And you're right, it is early. I mean, we're on pace right now to go 41-41.
Yeah.
So we do it. Hi, Kara. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you very much. Maybe today we should encourage some talkbacks.
Okay,
and then would you go through some of the talkbacks and find ones that are, if they talk about PA with his shirt off, though, make sure you keep the part of the talkback where he says, and he looks,
right.
And it was a beautiful thing, is what it is. We'll pause. We'll come back. And when we do, it'll be time for 5-3-4. And Tenneby, do you have a tease? I think you do.
Do we have the best player in the world right here in Minnesota?